Alright. Bombo Greg, no, nagtawag kami, mabukontak kami update. Sa day karang nagakanabo magkarauna sa Amerika, no, kung sa siin nga ni may mga serye, no, daywang insidente at ma-shooting una karon sa California. Kumusta ro updates naton sa makaron kara Bombo Greg?
Okay, Bombo Nino, here are the latest updates now. The first one is the Half Moon Bay, California mass shooting. And this update is from the San Francisco Chronicle today. Chunmi Zhao, 66, used a legally purchased semi-automatic handgun Monday to shoot 8 people, one of whom was recovering from life-threatening injuries. Law enforcement described the 8 victims as Hispanic and Asians, and Mexico's consulate office in San Francisco said 3 were Mexican citizens, including the man who survived. 5 men and 2 women were killed. All of the victims worked at 2 separate farms where the shootings occurred in what authorities described as workplace violence. Authorities believe that Xiao, a farm worker at one of the nurseries, acted alone Monday when he walked into the workplace on Highway 92 and opened fire just after 2 p.m., leaving 4 people dead and another with life-threatening wounds. Then he drove to a second facility on Highway 1. Over there, Zhao shot and killed another 3 people. Zhao was later booked into a Redwood City jail on suspicion of murder, attempted murder, and gang enhancements, and is currently being held without bail. All 7 men and women who were killed in Monday's mass shooting in Half Moon Bay have been identified by authorities. They are Zhixin Lu, 73 years old, from San Francisco; Marciano Martinez Jimenez, 50 years old, of Moss Beach; Axiang Zhang, 74, San Francisco; Kijong Cheng, 66, of Half Moon Bay; Kish Yitu Bing, 43, whose residence is not known at this time; and Jingjing Lu, 64, of Half Moon Bay. The 7th victim, identified as Jose Romero Perez, and then the 8th person who was shot but survived was identified as Pedro Romero Perez. The men were brothers and both were Mexican nationals. All of the victims were farm workers who worked at one of 2 mushroom nurseries where the shootings took place. So that's the one that happened that's the latest update for the one that happened at Half Moon Bay. Now here's this update for the Monterey Park shooting from the Los Angeles Times. On Saturday afternoon, thousands were celebrating the Lunar New Year festival in Monterey Park, a city at the heart of Los Angeles County's Chinese community. Monterey Park is about an hour from downtown LA. The festival ended at around 9 p.m. And then a little over an hour later, gunfire erupted inside Star Ballroom Dance Studio on West Garvey Avenue, which is actually near where the festival took place. Here's what we know about the mass shooting that left 11 dead and 9 wounded. When police arrived, officers found people pouring out of the location screaming. The officers entered the studio and located additional victims. After opening fire at the Monterey Park Dance Studio Saturday night, the gunman, identified as 72-year-old Hu Can Tran, went to a second dance facility in nearby Alhambra, which is about an hour away, where he was disarmed by Brandon Chai, whose family owns the studio. So Brandon Chai is a real hero. People think jealousy might have been the motive for the attack, but emphasize that the investigation continuing. Here's what we know about the victims. The victims loved to dance, sing, and socialize among their tight-knit community in Monterey Park. There were grandparents, aunts, and friends who were drawn together over their love of music and dancing at the Star Ballroom Dance Studio in Monterey Park. First victim is Ming Wei Ma, 72 years old. Uh, Second is Mai Mai Nan, 65 years old. Third victim is Diana Manling Tom, 70 years old. The fourth victim is Xu Xuan Yu, 57 years old. The fifth victim is a Filipino American, Valentino Marcos Alvaro, 68 years old. The sixth victim is Yu Lun Kao, 72 years old. The seventh victim is Hong Ying Chan, 62 years old. The eighth victim is Wen Tao Yu, 64 years old. The ninth victim was Chao Ling Yao, 76. And the 10th victim was Mao Dai Ong, 67. And the 11th victim is Leland Lee, 63 years old. So these are really tragic, Bombo Nino. It's Chinese New Year, no? The Lunar New Year. Everybody's really happy. It's like our New Year celebration.
Yes.
Unfortunately, still happy.
Oo. Sir, Bombo Greg, no? Nag-wonder kami, paano daya nga ra nga mga tawo nga ra naka-acquire it daya ka ra nga mga baril nga ra? Ano dong mga policies nga ginapatuman una sa California ay sa suod yat at daywang adlaw pilat agagi ro namatay sa raya nga ra nga mga mass shooting incidents nga ra. Ano rong pulisiya una sa California, particular Bombo Greg, pag-abot sa gun ownership?
Yeah, California, among all the states in the U.S., is actually one of the strictest in terms of purchasing firearms. No? For example, in Texas, Florida, or Arizona, you could go in the gun store and buy a gun and get it on the same day. In California, you have to wait. You have to wait at least a month, no, before you could buy the guns. And two killers purchased their guns legally, so they purchased them some time ago. They didn't purchase them just now, no. So they had these guns for quite a while, and something happened. Something triggered them to start killing. And the sad part is these are two Asians, no.
Yes.
Asians are not normally known to be mass killers, and they're both senior citizens.
Yes.
So that's really the sad part too.
Pag-abot sa pagbitbit it baril una, Bombo Greg, ano do ana karon ang pulisya? Miskin magawa kat bagay, pwede ka magbitbit it baril karon kung gagawa ka man na sa imong residensya, magawa ka sa imong bagay, Bombo Greg.
Actually, sa California, very strict, no? Before makabitbit ka baril, you have to get a permit to carry. Mabudlay buo no permit to carry, you have to get it from the sheriff's department or from the police chief. Mabudlay man, it's a lot easier sa other states like Texas. You don't need a permit. You could carry your gun with you anywhere, no? So they have this gun. So it was illegal for them to carry the hell. They don't have permits to carry, but they wanted to kill people, so it didn't really matter.
Okay. Like una, Bombo Greg, sa California, paano sa na mag-acquire it baril? Wa utarat mga background check, pwede kagating ka over the counter nga mabakar kat baril, okay na rayon, miskin what abo nga mga requirements kumbaga, Bombo Greg?
Actually, California is one of the strictest, no? Bago ka makabakar, you have to pass a federal background check. That takes several days, and then there's like what they call a cooling off period. So example, may kaaway ka, akig ka, no? So chances are gusto mong gamitin ro baril. In California, it would take at least a month before mabaton mo ro baril, no? You have to pay for it, to pass the background checks, and before you could get your gun. I-contrast mo rin sa Texas, for example, or Florida, or other Republican states, no? Go in, and within an hour, you can get your gun. So that's the sad part about that. For these mass killings to occur in California,
Mm.
and California is one of the strictest gun laws in the whole country.
Ay, okay. Kasi very alarming Bombo Greg, no? Dumakaraya nga nga natabo una sa Amerika. Kasi hamba ko gani, iya sa Pilipinas, grabe ka strikto. Gun ownership naton iya. Pero ina sa Amerika, may mga, although nga hamba nimo sa California, very strict sa iba nga mga state makaron man pero may mga estado gid ang medyo haguga. May mga ano gunda Bombo Greg, may mga ginpagawa gon abi nga statement or White House si President Biden kung ano ro plano ag even una sa California kara Bombo Greg ano ro plano kara nga basi ga maribisa sandat mga layi or i-review nanda ro layi about sa gun ownership una karon sa California, USA Bombo Greg.
O mabudlay abi magpasa it bag-ong law no nga to control firearms dahil the United States Constitution has a Second Amendment that guarantees that all U.S. citizens have a right to purchase a gun or to own a gun, no? So the Democrats usually want to pass laws that restrict that has stricter gun controls. Republicans usually want freer, no? Because they want to support the Second Amendment. So that's what's going on. Both President Biden and Vice President Harris, of course, condemned the killings, and they offered support to and prayers to the victims and the victims' families. Also, Governor Newsom of California, same thing, and Vice President Harris, who actually comes from California, is coming next Wednesday to the city, near LA,
Yes.
to offer her condolences.
Grabe. So makaron ay kumusta do ano kara Bombo Greg ro do sitwasyon makaron sa California sa pila karon ka mga lugar nga natabo at insidente nga ro mga pamilya at mga biktima ag ara may sambilog ang aning Pinoy kara nga nadagahig kara Bombo Greg.
Oh, and apparently he's a very serious Roman Catholic, believer, and the family is really concerned that he wasn't able to get the last rites. So they want the whole Filipino American community to pray for him. The sad part is he's planning to retire soon and retire in the Philippines. But who would ever think this has never happened before in a ballroom dancing place now, where the singers where it's a popular place for Asian singers to get together, and usually ballroom dancing. Why would it become a center of violence? Well, we don't know, because the gunman killed himself. While he was surrounded by the police, and he shot himself. And at his age, 72 years old, they don't quite know what's going on with him. And the sad part is that both killers are Asians. Asians are normally not known to be mass murderers. So this is shocking to not only the U.S., to regular Americans. It's especially more shocking to the Asian community.
Usually Bombo Greg ano ro mga ano no may kanya-kanya bing mga reason no kung haman natadabo ra kasi di ba previously na interview man namon ikaw kapin kun mga makaraya nga balita, usually ano ro pinaka usual karang reason ham at natatabo do daya karang mga insidente nga Bombo Greg?
We may never know natabo sa ballroom dancing place, dahil namatay ro gunman, and apparently he lived alone. So they find a letter or a note na may nag-explain ba hamad medyo nagkormentado, we might never know the reason. On the other hand, the one in Half Moon Bay, the killer or the alleged killer has been captured, yan, surrendered. So we'll find out during the trial why he did it. And kawoy man naman ang mga victims, sabi, mga farm workers, no?
Yes,
These are
yes.
working people who earn very little money, and their work is really hard, backbreaking. It's like our farmers in the Philippines, you know, you toil all day in the hot sun, no? So it's for little money. So and for them to get killed for whatever reason, it's really sad.
Yes, oo. Medyo makasubo matuod. So overall matama karon Bombo Greg, ano ro mga may mga security nga ginahimo or mga pahugot abi sa seguridad una makaron sa California bangod sa raya kada nga natabo nga nga seryet mass shootings nga na una sa California, Bombo Greg.
Medyo wa man dahil, for example, ro natabo sa Half Moon Bay, medyo ginatawag nanda na workplace violence ba? Na it's
Okay.
any place where you work, if
Mm.
person that loses his or her mind and they have a handgun, they really can't do anything if that person just comes in and just starts shooting people, no? And then the one the one in Southern California near LA, it's it's a ballroom dancing place for senior citizens. I don't know how you could prevent that. That's supposed to be a happy place for the elderly, no, to have a social life, and so and the killer was a former DI at the place, so everybody knew him. You know, he's a familiar face. So he's been dancing at that place for over 10 years. So suddenly he came in, just started shooting. I guess those are his old friends, no? So the police has a theory that there might be jealousy involved, but um, but they're still investigating. So we don't know if we'll ever find the real story.